Well, hey friends, and welcome back. Today, I want to walk you through step by step how to declutter and organize your digital life. We spend so much time on a daily basis connected to the digital world, whether that's for work, checking email, various social platforms, and every time we engage online, we're creating new data and information that has to be stored somewhere. So it's really no wonder that our digital lives are often very messy and cluttered. We can have difficulty finding the photos or files that we're looking for, start pushing the upper limits of our storage, or just easily become distracted on our devices. But just like with our homes, it's important that we simplify and organize our digital lives in order to use them as efficiently as possible and to create an intentional space where we can focus and be productive. And that's exactly what I want to walk through with you today. We're going to look at 25 steps or ways that you can edit and organize your digital life to keep it simple and functional. And as we get into this, I have created a free PDF checklist for you that lists all of the steps that we're going to be talking through today. It can be a great way to track your progress. If you want to use that, I will have the link for you in the description box below. Now let's get started with decluttering our digital lives. All right, and beginning with the laptop, the first area that we're going to spend some time looking at is the browser. And the first thing that you're going to want to do here is to close out of any unnecessary tabs. This is a good one-time task to perform if you do have a lot of tabs open, but on an ongoing basis, closing out of any tabs that you aren't actively using is a great habit to get into as well, so it's going to really speed up the performance of your computer. But then next, I'd recommend taking some time to streamline your bookmarks and toolbar. The toolbar can be a great resource to make sure that your most frequently referenced web pages are easily accessible. But if it's super messy or you have outdated bookmarks on there, it can be more of a distraction than an aid. So delete any that are outdated, rename any where the name might be a little bit confusing, and then also I'd recommend using folders to group like ones together. I have one for finance, for my business, for a few other things as well. It can be a great way just to streamline everything. Then along the same lines, take this time to remove any extensions that you no longer use. I find that often we'll download extensions that we'll just never end up using, so now can be a great time to go through your extensions, delete any that you don't use or that you haven't used in a long time. But then while you're at it, also take this opportunity to pin a few of the extensions that you do use regularly to your toolbar, and that way they'll be more accessible. All right, but now with our browsers in better shape, let's go ahead and turn our attention to the actual contents of the laptop. The first thing that you're going to want to do here is to close out of all of the apps that you currently have open, making sure to save your progress as you go so that you don't lose any important information. This is just going to make moving various files, folders, and applications around a lot easier as we move forward. All right, but the next, and this one does take a bit longer, but we want to spend some time decluttering any unnecessary files, paying special attention to any larger files that might be taking up a lot of space on your computer. When it comes to decluttering these non-essential files, my favorite tool and resource to do this is Clean My Mac X. This is an app that I've been using for well over a year now to clean and protect my computer, so I'm so excited to be partnering with them for this portion of today's video. If you've never heard of them before, Clean My Mac X is a powerful tool that can help you to clean up and speed up your computer. And Clean My Mac X has been notarized by Apple. They've been serving customers for over 14 years, so it's reliable, but more than that too, it really works, doing the heavy lifting for you. So really quickly, I want to share with you some of my favorite features for decluttering your digital space. The first is the Smart Scan. This is a quick overview type of check that will help to identify any unnecessary files that can be deleted to free up space, security threats, or tasks that can speed up your computer. And this only takes a couple seconds, but once it completes the scan, all you need to do is hit run and it will take care of everything for you. So it's always a great place to start. It's something that I like to run about once a week, which just helps to keep things tidy and in order. But for times like this where you're wanting to do a bit more of a deep dive, another great tool that I love is the Space Lens. This is a great tool to help you identify large files and folders and gives you a helpful visual breakdown that can help you to hone in on what areas your decluttering will have the maximum impact. Then one other tool on here that I want to show you guys is the uninstaller feature. This is an easy way just to review all of your applications and to remove any that either you have never used or that you haven't used in a while and have become outdated. That really just scratches the surface of all that they have on here. There's also a great updater feature to remove old apps, ones for protection, maintenance. They really have it all, and what I love about it too is it's all in this very beautiful, user-friendly, just easy to use interface. So if you're looking for an amazing tool to keep your computer in order, I cannot recommend Clean personally my Mac X enough. Been using them for a while now. They really have changed the game for me when it comes to decluttering my laptop, its organization, all of that. And as always, all of the information you need plus a special offer will be linked up for you in the description box below, so be sure to check that out. But then once you've deleted any unnecessary files or applications, it's always a great idea just to spend some time combing over some more frequently used areas of your computer just to tidy everything up, to move important documents where they belong, and to organize what's left. There are a couple key areas I'd recommend focusing on here. The first is your downloads folder. You want to get this to 0. So if there are any files or photos that you want to hold on to, go ahead and move them where they belong. And if they don't yet have a home, create one. Then just go ahead and delete anything that's left over. And for your desktop, there are 2 different strategies that you can go with here. And the first, like with your downloads folder, is to get it to 0. Either by deleting or moving any files or folders that you currently have on there. And that's a great strategy, but not quite what I do. Instead, I like to treat my desktop as an active workspace. And really what that means is I like to keep a handful of folders on there at all times that I can use to store the information for any ongoing projects I have. So I have one for current photography projects, current video projects. It's just an easy way to keep things organized and very easily accessible for me. So either strategy you go with, you really can't go wrong, but that's personally what I prefer to do just because I find that it makes things really easy to access. Then another great one, we've talked about this one a bit already, is to go through your applications and to delete any that either you've never used, or it also include any that you haven't used in the past 6 months and don't see yourself using in the next 6 either. And this can be a great way to quickly free up a pretty considerable amount of storage. All right, but then let's also talk about your documents. Even if you've already spent some time deleting outdated files, I'd still recommend just going through your documents area once more just to give it a bit of a comb over. Often you'll find files that you may have otherwise missed. But then once you've spent some time deleting any outdated information or just anything that you no longer need, you want to spend some time organizing this area. When it comes to your documents, a good filing system makes all the difference. And the way that I kind of like to visualize the document section on my computer is a bit like a library. If your document section was a library, what would your library look like? Would there just be random piles of books scattered on the floor everywhere? Or would all of the books be on neat shelves, intentionally named and systematically organized? Maybe like me, you're somewhere in between, but really spending some time to create a good filing system for your documents can really make finding the things that you need so much easier. So just think through, are there certain files, documents, or folders that you always find a bit hard to find or that are particularly messy? Maybe start with those areas and focus on creating an intentional and intuitive system that will work for you, not against you. Rename files to things that actually make sense. That way your Command F feature will work so much better. Organize your folders so it has a more logical flow, and generally try to identify if there are small tweaks that you can make to your organization system just to make it more user-friendly. Then for your pictures, this is something that I would probably recommend organizing now but planning to tackle over time, simply because the sheer volume of pictures that many of us have just isn't something that you can realistically do in one sitting. Organizing them can be a lot easier though, and one simple way that I like to do this is simply to organize all of my photos into folders, first by year, then by month, and then by occasion. And that makes finding photos just so much easier for me. I can either look by year or just type into my search bar Italy trip, and immediately that's going to pull up the folder that I have named Italy trip with all of my photos inside. And that's a great way to be able to find the photos that you're looking for, but it can also be extremely helpful for decluttering as well, because it removes the pressure of feeling like you have to go through all of your photos at once. Instead, you can just pick a month, a year, however long you want, and just to go through all of the photos in those folders, deleting any that you don't need. All right, and if you've been following along with each of these steps, I'm sure your laptop is looking so much more simplified and organized now. So next, I want to turn our attention to the email inbox. There are a few big things that you can do to really edit this space. And the first, and probably one of the most impactful, is to unsubscribe from email lists. This is something that I like to do about every 6 months just to stay on top of the emails that I'm receiving. And so just go through and one by one unsubscribe from any email lists that are cluttering cluttering up your inbox. And then while you're at it, clear out your junk inbox and delete any unnecessary emails. Then to organize your inbox, you can use folders to sort what's important. I'd also recommend going through those to see if the folders that you have are still useful or if you need to rename or recategorize a few of those. And then if you don't have one already, I'd also recommend setting up a system to manage your inbox going forward. There are a couple of different strategies you can use for this. The first is the zero inbox strategy, where essentially your goal is to get and to keep your inbox at zero, either by deleting or archiving emails you don't need or storing important ones in folders. So that's one option. And then another good one is the mark as read strategy. Essentially with this one, you'll be a little bit less reliant on folders, and the way that you'll be able to determine whether or not you've taken action on an email already is by either deleting it or marking it as read. Depending on your personal preference, you might prefer one of these strategies over the other. Both can be a great option for organizing your inbox. All right, but now let's transition from the computer entirely and spend a bit of time focusing on your hard drives and cloud storage. I feel like our hard drives and cloud storage can often be a bit of a dumping ground for anything that doesn't fit in the storage that's built into our computers, which means that they can be a bit of a mess. So a few things that you'll want to do here. First is to organize everything into folders. Especially with your hard drives, I'd really recommend trying to think through what's going to be the most effective way for you to organize this information. And see if there are a couple of more general categories that you can use to kind of group things into buckets that you can then further organize from there. So maybe you need a folder for backup photos that's then organized by year and month and so on. Or one for old text documents that's organized in a similar way. The key here, like with your documents, is you just want to achieve a logical flow. But then while you're organizing, I'd also recommend taking time to purge unnecessary files from your drives as well. Especially since most of us tend not to access these areas as much as our computer, it can be really easy for files to become outdated and for us to never even really do anything about them. So just get rid of anything outdated that's a duplicate and that you don't need. All right, but next, let's talk about our phones. And the first thing that you'll want to do here is to use that 6 months rule again to delete anything that you haven't used in the past 6 months and don't plan to use in the next 6. But then I recommend taking that a step further, and for any apps that you don't use on a weekly or at least a monthly basis, I'd recommend hiding them. That's going to make it so that apps are still downloaded, but they're removed from your home screen, which is going to help to reduce visual clutter and just create a bit more of an intentional space on your phone. Of course, you can still access them whenever you need them. Just scroll over to the far right on your phone and enter in the name of the app you're looking for in the search tab. And then with any remaining apps that you do use on a regular basis, just sort them into folders as needed and try to arrange them in a logical flow. And then for your notifications, I'd recommend turning off all but the most important notifications. Notifications can be a huge distraction and really prevent you from being able to use your phone intentionally. So it's always a great idea to just minimize the number of notifications that you have coming in. Then while you have your phone out, I'd also recommend spending some time to unfollow people and just to curate your social media. The way I like to think about it, the fewer people that you follow, the more intentionally you'll be able to use that social platform. So keep your following, your subscribed list to only the friends, the creators who are going to uplift, to inspire, and to challenge you. And then for pictures on your phone, there's so much we could talk about here, but a couple of key areas that you'll want to look at are to delete any old videos that might be taking up a lot of storage space on your phone, as well as screenshots, as many of them are unnecessary. But then for your photos, there's a couple of things that I would recommend doing. First, to organize them, make sure that you're using the albums feature. It's an easy way to be able to group like photos either from a specific trip, a season, a memory. It can be a really easy way just to be able to find exactly what you're looking for. But then for decluttering, going through your photos can be a pretty daunting task, especially on your phone. But one hack that can maybe make this a little bit easier is if you go to the search bar on the Photos app in your phone, you can type in either the date or the month, and that's going to pull up all of the photos and videos that you've taken on, again, that date or that month historically. And so depending on how quickly you want to do this, how much you want to get done, you can either go through just that day or that month and slowly declutter your photos over time. If you do it by month, you'll be finished in 12 sessions, or if you do it by year, you'll be done in 365 days. But either way you do it, it really can just help to make this process feel a bit less daunting, more manageable. What's cool too is if you do it in this way, it really can make the process of going through through old photos more fun because you're able to relive past memories. All right, but now I want to wrap this up with just talking through some general pieces of advice when it comes to getting your digital life in order, the first of which is security. As you're going through this process, now is a great time to do a bit of a security checkup on your digital life. So take some time to update any weak or insecure passwords that you may have. And actually, if you use Google Chrome's password manager, they can help to identify some of those for you and even recommend strong, unique passwords you can replace them with. And along those lines, make sure you're storing your passwords in a way that they'll be protected. The best way to do this is to use a password manager, but at the bare minimum, make sure that you're storing that information in a locked note or document and not something that's unprotected that just anyone can see. Then one last big one for security is to turn on two-factor authentication. And I get it, it can be a bit of a pain, but it's worth it. I know people who it's happened to multiple times where their accounts have been under attack, but because they used two-factor authentication, they were able to protect their accounts and keep them, and the hackers did not get through. Which in my books makes those couple extra seconds spent on two-factor authentication so worth it. Now, this is a bit more general, but as you're going through this process, make sure to take this opportunity to wipe down your screens. Just use a lightly dampened microfiber cloth, wipe down your computer, phone, and tablet if you have one. And that way, the shell of your devices will be looking just as good as the contents. All right, then last but not least, we made it to the home stretch here. It's just to back up everything. Your phone, your laptop, your hard drives, make sure that you have backups of it all. Just take it from me on this one. This is something that I had to learn the hard way. I lost years worth of photos and videos from my phone, a lot of which were from our first years of marriage. I'm never going to have those pictures back because I thought my phone was backing up and it just wasn't. So spend the time, make sure that you're backing everything up, and that way, if something does happen, you'll be prepared. All right, well, I know that was a lot, but we did it. We made it to the end, and I really hope that this was helpful for you as you look to declutter your digital life. Really quick, I did just want to remind you, if you haven't downloaded it already, then be sure to get that free PDF checklist. It's going to help you to track your progress, walk you through all of these steps. Again, that's just going to be linked up for you in the description, and while you're there, don't forget to check out Clean My Mac X either. It really is such a great tool. It's going to make the process of decluttering your computer so much easier. That's everything that I have for you today. As always though, don't forget to give this video a like if you enjoyed it, and subscribe if you haven't already. And until next time, friends, I am wishing you all an incredible day, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.